Now let's talk about the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Nigeria is blessed with human, mineral and natural resources which have over the years attracted multinational businesses into the country. Well, latest World Bank annual ratings show that Nigeria is ranked 169 among 190 economies of the world in the ease of doing business. The rank of Nigeria improved to 169 in 2016 from 170 in 2015. Well, Google, Microsoft, HP, Mnet, Shoprite, Techno, and many others have extended their footprints to Nigeria in recent times and are expanding aggressively. Well, more importantly, are countries like South Africa, China, and India making moves to invest in the country. However, according to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, Nigeria suffered industrial decline from the first quarter of 2016 to November of the same year, forcing at least 272 firms to shut down, while some reduced their production. The Director General of the Nigerian Textile Manufacturers Association says textile industries have gone into near extinction and Nigerians now depend largely on imported clothing materials. But have you ever wondered why Michelin and Dunlop left Nigeria? That will probably lead us to looking at some of the challenges that potential business owners may have to consider. First is poor power supply. Then there is the lack of infrastructure, inadequate security, inconsistent government policies, and inability to access funds. Well, to talk more about this, joining us on the News at 10 is an economist, Mr. Boniface Chizie. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Millicent, for having me.
So, with all of these challenges highlighted, in your opinion, isn't it a contradiction when we say Nigeria an investment destination?
Well, I think that's, when I listen to the Vice President, I listen to him talk, and he said Nigeria is a country waiting to happen. I think Nigeria is happening. I think if you look at a lot of funds out there, they're looking for places to go and invest. And so if you look at Nigeria, you look at some indices. Some of those indices will tend to support the fact that we remain, an attractive destination in spite of our shortcomings and the shortfalls and so on and so forth. If you look at all the bonds we've issued so far, the Aspera bond and the Euro bonds and so on and so forth, they've all been overly subscribed, and then you look at the country, we go out and want to borrow. People are falling over themselves, to lend to us. There are many countries in this world that want to borrow, and there are no takers, there are no lenders. I think that Nigeria is an attractive investment destination. If you look at the size of the market of Nigeria, you look at what's happening in Nigeria, you refer to some South African countries. Look at Shoprite, for instance. Look at the way they are expanding aggressively in this country. We have a massive market, 80 million people. That's an advantage. You cannot substitute.
Some people might argue that you're talking about the hopefuls position, but reality on ground is it's difficult to do business in Nigeria. Yeah,
but people are coming, people are doing business in this country. So there are difficulties. So you have issues like you were itemized there. You have issues with infrastructure, security, as added some. We have issues accessing funds, but, all the same, if people, you see, the business person, the mentality, what he does is that he looks at the return, he looks at the risk. And he does this risk-return analysis. And he says, look, at this level of return, I think I'm prepared to go into this country. And so that's why you find that people are still coming. I think that people can still do more, can do much better. We have the potential, which is not being realized because, like I said before, there are shortcomings. There are issues, corruption, legal sanctity of contracts, and so on and so forth, power and so on.
Do you think this affects a Nigerian differently than it affects someone coming from outside the shores of the country to do business?
Well, I think that, you see, you find that but those in Nigeria, I think that we should be more at home, we should be more familiar. So I would expect that those of us in Nigeria, it's like you have a baby, has a cell on his body, you know how to carry the baby. So those of us in Nigeria, we know the country, we know how to get around, to get around this country. But those coming outside, I think that a little bit more challenged, so coming into this country to invest. And so they are coming, not too long ago, we had the capital controls, and so if they're going to bring in money into an environment, and you're not sure that you want to take out this money, you're going to be allowed to take out this money. And so there are some issues. But as I said earlier on, so people look at the risk. There's no environment that doesn't have the risk factor. So there's risk in this environment. But you're coming in and you look at the returns, and you look at the risk, and say, look, at this level of returns, I think that, I can take the risk.
How would you describe the World Bank rating of Nigeria, placing her 169 out of 190 economies?
But some reason this is, I take it with a pinch of salt. I think that's.
You don't think it's correct? Just the World Bank.
I would not want to challenge the World Bank. Not on an open television. I think that I think that remain attractive. We had issues. No doubts about that. So you come into this country, you have the roads, you have potholes, you have
But 169 is far from number one.
Which one?
169.
Yes, you have happened. But like I said before, how much thought do we put, on that ranking? I think that's the issue. I think that Nigeria, if the size we have here, what we have, the population, the landmass, and so on and so forth, the climate, as part of the climate change, since you have the predictability, of an environment, it makes us remain very attractive. I'm not saying that we're there. I listen to the Vice President. It says, it's waiting to happen. But I think that really, it's already happening here. But I think that we can give it a boost.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Boniface Chizie, an economist, for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you very much for having me, Melissa.